I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, you ready for a demon. I got eyes in the back of my head, I'm seeing. Take me for granted and you know I'm leaving. I'ma take what's mine with the webs I'm weaving. I could take this crap from seeing to believing. Got a taste for blood and my tongue keeps bleeding. From the words I spit, so sharp, so freezing, so cold. Behold, frostbite they feeling. I could tear you apart or I could go heal them. Don't believe in fate, don't believe in feelings. I just need a taste and my mind starts feeling. I don't pace myself, I grind on kneeling. Got nothing for change, I just love the feeling. No, I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. 'Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. 'Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. 'Cause I'ma live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll still be winning. I live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll still be winning. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon.
Good evening. We are here for Cap Space Jam episode 3. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Let me just quickly check. Yeah, there we go. Okay, we're good. So here we are. This is episode 3. We're keeping on a pretty consistent schedule. But once again, I am by myself today. But nevertheless, I'm happy to be here. It's going to be a much shorter show than our previous ones. There's no teams to really recap like we were last episodes. So this one's going to be real simple. We're just going to look at some of the matchups, and I'm going to do a brief review at some of the moves that were made, and just look at the status of everybody's team and say where we are. I'm going to try to do more coordinating for the next couple of shows to see if we can get some people to get on here. I know there are some members, I'm not going to mention his name, that wants to have a few words with me. So we'll do that when the time is right. So kind of short notice. I just wanted to get a show out. I want to be consistent with this one. So let's get right to it. So I already got the thing up here. I was just looking at my team. Now, I could explain, right? Okay, my team's been going through a rough patch. Last week, I was able to win. I was able to beat John, barely, right? And my leading scorer for last week was Kyrie Irving. Actually, I'm sorry, last week. So it's actually been 2 weeks since we've been on here. So before this week, it was me versus John. Okay, so I beat him by the skin of my teeth. And the leader of the scoring affair, of course, was Kyrie Irving for me. He's the one that really pulled me over the hump. Jabari Smith has had a rough go the past couple of games. But, CJ McCollum, Devin Booker, I still have a chance here. You're going to see I made some moves for myself. I wound up signing with my wild card, Mason Plumlee. And I don't believe I had Mr. Zubac the last time I was here. So I picked up 2 centers that I really needed because Jackson Hayes, Mark Williams, and Robin Williams may have well not have been centers at all. Mark Williams was sent to the G League, so he's probably not going to do much for me anytime soon. Jackson Hayes is dependent on an injury, and even if that injury happens, who knows if it's going to happen for him. And then you got Robin Williams, again, 0% owned for a reason. So I'll be honest, my draft for myself really didn't go the way that I had wanted it to so far. I think I focused too much on the salary at the time. and I have a team that really has no depth. And now I'm in trouble. So Jabari Smith, like I said, struggled a little bit the past few games. Kyrie Irving has been suspended for 5 games, and at least, and we don't know what's going to happen with him. So that was my leading scorer that helped me beat somebody like Josh. And then, of course, I got Robert Williams, who's still not back yet. So aside from that, the team's looking rough. Now, the reason why I'm not too worried about my team, there's a lot of guys on here that are pending free agents. There are a lot of guys on here that could be bought out at any time. So this season, I might not be in the greatest of shape, but I did leave myself a lot of flexibility going into next season. So you see I got Devin Booker, CJ McCollum, RJ Barrett, Draymond Green. We'll see. And CJ McCollum is a wild card for me, so I won't have him next year. But I have some young players here. I'm 1-2. I don't. I don't know who played. That's enough. All right. My team is not that bad. All right. I have a lot of flexibility moving forward. Maybe not this year, but hey, I am leading on Mr. Davis, who, congratulations to him. He is a married man. He is also 0-3, and there's nothing wrong with that. He hasn't really set his lineups the past couple of weeks. Like I said, he's a married man now, so he had quite a big week in the past. So he didn't really play Giannis. He is 0-3. Heading into this week, he is starting Giannis. Still hasn't been too active, so hopefully he can get active for his own sake because he has a really good team with Giannis and whatnot. But, I'm not going to complain so much for this week, okay? I'll take the L. But anyway, I want to go back also to week 3. So last week I ended up facing Devin. Devin handled himself pretty well. Again, I had Kyrie Irving out. There's quite a bit of scoring that I could have or should have had, and I just didn't get. So I'm glad I was able to keep it close. But we got to shout out Devin real quick. Devin is 3-0 thus far. He beat me last week, and he also. Well, the week prior, he had also defeated Ed, so he's 3-0, fifth most in terms of scoring. But he's also in the lead this week by a short margin ahead of Josh, and Josh is a tough fantasy player. He's one of those teams that's really been that was really scaring a lot of people early on when I asked who was the most threatening to them. They would go with Josh. But, yes, Dev is 3-0, looking really good. Josh is 2-1. He actually fell to Mr. SBP here, the sports blog page. They're doing really well for their website. They're doing 3-0, and they're ahead this week on Brian and Chris, 2 guys that really haven't been able to get on a roll yet. Now, Brian did leave a statement of sorts. He said, I'm only here so I don't get fined. And that seems like the only type of numbers that they are putting up. Numbers good enough so they do not get fined. But it's okay. Nothing wrong with that. They'll find a way to bounce back. They also have a team that was pretty deep in terms of a squad. All right, but let me stay on track. So, yeah, you see for Devin last week, Anthony Davis has been healthy enough thus far. Nicholas Claxton, he appears to be a player now. Like, he's officially arrived in terms of being at least on everybody's fantasy lineups. I remember I picked him up in other leagues for the past couple of years. He's no longer a waiver wire pickup. I'm sorry, this team is so boring. Oh, Dev. Oh, man. But you are 3-0, so I got to give it to you. So moving forward, we're going to look at Davis's. Well, we looked at Davis's team. We saw Giannis and everything. And the team that I was most fearful of heading into the season, people need to listen to me for a reason. Ronnie is 3-0. He has the second highest scoring amount right next to David. These are 2 of the toughest players in this league right now, and they're both 3-0. They're the top 2, and they're facing off against each other. 293, 250. Ronnie's projected to win, but of course, it can go any way. at this point. So let's look at Ronnie's team real quick just to see where he's at. More or less the same thing. He did add Lonnie Walker, which Lonnie Walker has been putting up some numbers and has been one of the few, and I mean few, bright spots for the Lakers this season. And he's going to go ahead and join Ronnie's team this week. So far, looking good. Murray, Van Vleet, who everybody thought was crazy for him to overpay, but as you can see, the team is stacked. The team is playing well. If they could stay healthy, I expect Ronnie to finish near the top, potentially in the finals for us this year. Then we got David. David is first overall right now, the most points scored, and that's the type of potential he had that we had mentioned going into this season. I worried about his flexibility, but he doesn't really need it right now. The top of the lineup is just doing everything he needs to do. He's doing his thing here. He is, John Morant, Donovan Mitchell, who I had some concern, not a lot of concern. I just wanted to know how much having Darius Garland next to him might have affected his numbers. It has not at all. Lauri Markkanen has been really good. Really good, man. Has also put up some big numbers in Minnesota. Saddiq Bey, Terry Rozier. I mean, this team's looking really good. Not a lot of depth. Of course, that is where I was worried. He did lose Pascal Siakam, which I believe if he had Pascal Siakam for this week, he might have been able to top Ronnie thus far. He still could win, but I feel like that really hurt his chances. But he's in a good position overall, still one of the highest scoring numbers this week. If he was facing quite a few people, he would be up right now. But Pascal is a big loss for sure. So we're going to move forward. We got Mr. Poison Ivy, 1-2 record, but it doesn't tell the whole story for him. Zach's team has a lot of potential. Now, he has been seeking a fleece. The word around the street, he has been looking to trade perhaps Tyrese Halliburton or others. He wants to make a splash. He wants to get somebody that is desperate. He wanted to get me. I did not let him do it, but who knows if he keeps trying, maybe things will change. He does have Chris Middleton and Cole Anthony on the IL, so that does affect his team a little bit, but there is players that puts up numbers. You got Andrew Wiggins, Mikal Bridges. The team looks a lot better, scoring a total points of 3,297 and averaging over 1,000 points a week. So it looks a lot better than the numbers say. And he is behind. He's up this week, so you may see him go ahead and get 2-2 if he can keep it up. But we just got to see what happens. This league could go any way. So he's 321. Yeah, he's up. So, and then you got Mr. LaMelo's balls. Okay, so that is Logan. Logan has Russell Westbrook, D'Angelo Russell. You got Franz Wagner. So, again, another team that was really good that we thought heading into the season could put up some numbers. Thus far, 2-1, scoring a total of 2,591 points. Like I said, looking good. Let's see what happens as long as they can remain healthy. Now, let's see what happens when LaMelo Ball comes back. Then they're going to really be able to put up numbers. Westbrook obviously isn't the fantasy Westbrook of before, but he did find a new home being a six-man. And I believe we're going to talk about that a lot. Whenever we do deep takes from three, we got to talk about the Lakers, of course, just like any other sports show in the entire world. Then moving forward, last week, of course, John he lost again. He's 0-3, but let's move to week 4 real quick. But he's ahead this week. He's put up a fight every week. So this is another amount of score. Look at this. 3,094 points, averaging over 1,000 points a week. He's just fallen into bad luck. He fell into bad luck with my team. Kyrie went absolutely berserk, and he lost by a short margin. He was projected to win. And then the weeks prior to that, he also lost last week. But he's ahead this week. There's no reason why he shouldn't have at least a win now, other than just pretty much scheduling. But I do expect him to win this week. And I expect him to be in the mix with everybody else. And on the other side, you got Return of the Heatles. Now, there has been some miscommunication on that side. I did talk to I did talk to our friend, about Kenny, who is the coach supposedly to put the lineups together. I don't believe it's happened, and if it has happened, it has not been effective. A total of 1,947 points. They're 0-3, averaging only under 650 points a week. Really disappointing because this team really has the potential of putting up numbers. Now, there have been some underachievers like James Wiseman. He's looked really bad. I've expected him to do a lot better. Granted, there are a lot of injuries here, but overall, they should be somewhat doing better than they are right now, especially with Luka Doncic. We'll see what happens. We'll see if they make moves and get back on the right side of things. But so far, it has not happened. Then we're going to go down to the DeAndre Duck, and that is Brad's team, 3-0, living up to the potential. This is one of the teams that we previewed early on that could do very well. With Mobley, Durant is putting up a crazy amount of points right now. This team is fulfilling exactly what we had hoped. They've been able to stay mostly healthy. Nick Richards has had a few games where it looked like he was really going to take off, and he still may. But he's a good piece to have. You're talking about a league where depth is not very plenty, especially like if you look at my team, there's no depth there, right? So let's move forward and see what we do next here. But I think Brad's team is looking pretty good. As expected, I expect them to be a threat in the playoffs for sure. Then we got the Ant Farm. I believe this is Austin. So I want to say, let's see if he set his lineups. I don't know if he's setting his lineups. We got to check that out. Now, he has had a couple of injuries before the season even started, of course, with Chet Holmgren and Jaren Jackson. But he should still put up pretty good numbers with Josh Giddey, who hasn't exactly been the Giddey of old, but he's still putting up big numbers, and Klay Thompson. He did pick up Santi Aldama earlier on, and he was looking a lot better than he is now. 2,385 points, 795 average. I expect him to do better. He is behind this week, but that's one of those teams that could truly arrive at any point. I still expect Austin's team to be somewhere around the playoff picture. So we're going to move forward. And eventually we're going to do like a ranking to really like just put everybody together and see who's doing the best. Then you have Gary. Gary is 1-2, but he's putting up a fight every week. So he's facing Eddie. Eddie's having a tough time. They're both 1-2. So they're both, one of them is going to get to 500 on the records, and then the other one's going to fall below it and fall to 1-3 and potentially fall behind me, as I expect to win this week. Of course, Kawhi Leonard is back and forth on the IL, so you can't really say too much about that. But he has LeBron James, who maybe in real life isn't having a great time, but he's still putting up great numbers in fantasy basketball. Colin Sexton, still going to put up some good numbers. Jalen Green. Derrick Rose obviously is not going to put up numbers like he once has, but he is a Knick, so he's got that going for him. And then Zion's looking good. So this team right here just hasn't really woken up yet. Jonathan Kuminga hasn't played much. I thought he would take a bit of a step forward this year. Juan Toscano-Anderson is a non-factor now. Tyrese Maxey, let's see what's going on. Tyrese Maxey is he's averaging 24 a game. He's looking good. Tyrese Maxey is I don't know. So this team, we'll see what happens when it's fully healthy, but he still has put up 3,073 points along with his co-manager Nicholas, 1,024 points a week. He's 1-2, but I expect him to maybe get to 500 this week and also take a step forward in the coming weeks moving forward. And also he had some tough matchups. But Ed, let's see what Ed's doing. You got to give Ed a lot of credit. He came into the draft. He didn't really know much about who to draft or what he was going to draft, but he put together a team and he's been active. He has the right people in the IL. Now he has Bradley Beal, who, let's see what's going on with Bradley. I actually didn't see this. So Bradley, okay, health and safety protocols. So he's going to be back. This is a guy that really splurged on his salary, but he put up 2,233 points, 744 weekly points. He's setting his lineups. He's doing what he can, and I do expect him to grow upon this. He is projected to have a close matchup with Gary. We'll see what happens. But Ed, you got a lot of credit, man. You're doing pretty well so far. And I don't know if he'll be a playoff team, but he's going to be in the mix somewhere. Okay, so then we're going to go down. I did briefly talk about the sports page plug. Congratulations. I believe they turned 1 a few days ago, so check out their website. They got a lot of trivia nights. And also Manolis is a great guy. All right, so we got Chris Paul, of course, doing Chris Paul things. The Suns look pretty good. I was one of those guys that really doubted them early on. I still don't think they'll be a championship team in any aspect. I don't think they'll make it to the semi-conference finals, but they're a good regular season team. And then you got Kevin Porter Jr., Bojan Bogdanovic, Bobby Portis, Mike MPJ, Adebayo. This team is really good. As long as they set the lineups, he's going to keep doing good things. And you can see 3,444 points, 1,148 on a weekly average, 3-0 record. Can't say much about him. And he might be in the running to win this week as well. We'll see what happens there. And if David, he's going to be in the mix there, because this matchup right here is going to have some complications on the standings, at least early on. And then you got Brian's team primarily. Brian with Buddy Hield, Zach LaVine, Jeremy Grant, Julius Randle, a solid team. He also picked up Kentavious Caldwell-Pope from the wild card. So far, he has 2 guys that are still on the team he can replace at any point. These guys are both bought out. The salary becomes dead money, so he can hold on to them if he wishes and just kind of have that extra salary to splurge on the other players. Now, one thing to keep in mind, if Trey Burke or Vernon Carey Jr. signs with another team, he will assume their contract negotiations. But who knows? I doubt they're going to sign a big contract no matter where they go, so he shouldn't really concern himself too much with that. Why is he doing so bad? Now, this lineup right here, so far, he has Trae Young not starting. Trae Young is questionable. But, if the team continues to set their lineups, he has a chance at being not the worst team in the league, not 0-3. I mean, he has averaged 2,032 points, a 677-point average on the weeks. Hopefully, he can just stay consistent with setting his lineups, because I do believe he's capable of winning some games. Now, one thing to keep in mind, he is the guy that I hold his first-round draft pick. So I'm not necessarily rooting for him. I'm rooting for Brian, but I'm not necessarily rooting for the team because they are 0-3. And I want that top-round draft pick. Victor Wembanyama can come to me. And, hey, if my team keeps going the route that it's going, maybe I'll go ahead and get Scoot as well. So I talked about Devin's team a little bit early on, but I just want to briefly look at it one more time. 3,060 points, averaging over 1,000 points a week. He got the overrated Domantas Sabonis, Anthony Davis, guys that have stayed healthy. I think I briefly looked at this team early on, but of course Steph Curry. This team is pretty stacked, and as long as he continues to set his lineups, Devin should finish with a pretty top of the standings record. And I expect him to be right in the mix in the playoffs. Let's see what he does there. And finally, the team that everybody feared, the boogeyman himself, Joshua, with the 3,718 points, 1,239 average. Yeah, those are pretty scary numbers. I mean, the fact that he's 2-1, just says that he has had a tough schedule. I do believe he's beatable. I do believe a couple of injuries could tear down this team. But if he continues setting the lineups the way that he has a chance of winning. He did pick up Dennis Smith Jr. There was one guy that was let go, and he had picked up Dennis Smith. Dennis Smith has looked pretty decent in the short time frame, at least until LaMelo Ball comes back. So, yeah, this is pretty much our week. You see the matchups as we were going along, the matchups that are happening right now. So these guys, we're going to see what happens. We're going to see what happens with everybody's teams. I don't really want to know. So I hate doing these shows alone because I'm just rambling nonstop. There's nobody to really cut me off. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Now I'm going to look at the transactions here if I can, just to briefly look over potentially things that I missed. Now, a lot of these ads, you'll see these are guys that were signed as a wild card early on. So you may see a lot of pickups that aren't necessarily active right now. Now, I see DeAndre Jordan. I got to see what's going on here. But yeah, you see I dropped Jaden Hardy early on. So really the only big signing was Lonnie Walker. And of course, like I said, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope from Brian. And somewhere last week. Oh, yes. And then, of course, Joshua Primo. That was a situation. But Zach had replaced him with Jordan Nora, I believe, confirmed for the long period of time. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for us, guys. We had, of course, Royce O'Neal was also signed at some point by David. So before I go, I do want to announce something real quick for anybody that is watching. I haven't really promoted this show much. Like I said, it was more about getting a show out there. But I do have a surprise. December 1st, there won't be much throwing together. It will be a lot more organized, and I expect to have some guests. And I also got the permission. If you play NBA 2K, if you played 2K22, you would remember this song. Thanks to the artist for letting me use it. I'm going to show you guys right now. I'll see you guys in a minute.
Hey, when the squad link, we don't care what the people on the side think. I feel like Brian, I need 3, 4, 5 rings. How I control the competition, it's a mind thing. How I expose the opposition, it's a God thing. About to unload the ammunition. Hey, I'm about to blow and they can feel it, it's a bomb. I had to let the world know it's my time. I had to come up on the check, I was down. And I was up to my neck, almost drowned. But I paid all my debts off out loud. They got paid, now to recall my files. Wouldn't be life if it all went as planned. Sacrifice made me go, not no lamb. Just no nice in the gym, going ham, yeah, yeah. This one for the people who was hating on me. Just to let them know that I'm still gon' eat. Keep my circle small, but it's still on me. This is really more, so I don't feel lonely. Take it to the bank, you can bet on me. Running to the top, still got sweat on me. The minimum respect in the gym, doing snatch just to flex on everybody who had flexed on me. Hey, when the squad links, I don't care what the people on the side think. I feel like Ron, I need 3, 4, 5 rings. How I control the competition, it's a mind thing. How I expose the opposition, it's a God thing. About to unload the ammunition. Hey, I'm about to blow and they can feel it, it's a bomb. I had to let the world know it's my time. By the time, can't be moving too fast, trying to grind.
So December 1st, it will be myself. I will have guests. I have the mayor of my city that has agreed to do a show with me. And I plan on having other guests down the line. We're going to reach big. We may have guys that I've spoken to. Some people may be former wrestlers. And who knows, right there, I briefly mentioned the Kyrie Irving. I didn't say much about what's really going on. But that will be where I do stuff like that. I will discuss things like Kyrie Irving and Kanye and all the other things that have been happening the past several months. Now, this is the sports show. Of course, I got D-Takes from 3. Sports related. We want to take a break from reality. But we will confront reality on December 1st and the first of every month moving forward, where I will do a lot more. I will try to have the green screen that's up behind me. I will have it up and working. And we're just going to try to go next level with it. So I appreciate you guys watching. If you watched, we'll be back in 2 weeks. I'm hoping to take more time. I've been having some things going on in my personal life, but in the next 2 weeks, I plan on having a more organized show. I plan on having some other people on. Hopefully Gary can make it. Hopefully guys like Zach, those two that were on last time. We got Devin. Now, as far as the Athletes Hub, of course, you got the False 9. You got Deep Takes from 3. Free Baseball was yesterday. And then you got Cap Space Jam 1. And then eventually, of course, my own show. So not a shortage of content. Of course, there is the athleteshub.org. Even if there's no posts and no shows on YouTube, there are always articles being released. You got football, you got baseball, you got basketball. We even got some wrestling on there. So just feel free to jump on there. I appreciate you guys. I don't even know what to say. See, this is the problem with being a one-man show. You don't know when to stop yourself. But I'm going to stop myself right now. So I'll see you guys. I'll have more wins under my belt. I plan on winning this week, and I will win next week as well. I will be, in the end, I'm going to be a champion in this league. And it's just a matter of when. Thank you, guys. I'm just trying to get through, you know. It's not my fault. Oh, shit, I'm still on here, huh?
I can hear the demons call when they do what they do. And now I feel like taking off, find a place with a view. The pain is never gonna stop if it's controlling you. I know that time can heal it all, I just gotta get through. I just gotta get through, I just gotta get through. Cause I feel like taking off, find a place with a view. The pain is never gonna stop if it's controlling you. I know that time can heal it all, I just gotta get through. Sometimes I feel like all is lost, but I know it's not true. I wanna put up all my walls cause I'm not in the mood, but then I cut myself off from the rest of the room. I know that time can heal it all if you're patient and soon it can all be worth it, all the searching. Pain is never really permanent, but damn it hurts, man. I could feel all of the turbulence and it's concerning. I've been searching for a purpose, I hope it's worth it. This society is really trying me. Ain't no hide and seek, I hide to be far from anxiety. I need my space, I need my privacy. I need some silence, please, you're all too loud. You don't speak quietly, opinions violently thrown across every surface. It makes me nervous. Is the world honestly burning? That's all I'm learning. Hope that we can make a turn and start